In this video, I am going to show you how to create a tree map. So to create a tree map, you need color, size, and detail. So in the previous video, I showed you how to create a pie chart. With pie chart, it is recommended that you don't have more than 5 categories in your pie chart. Okay, so if you have more than 5 categories that you're trying to compare, a tree map might be a better option than using a pie chart. So to create a tree map, in this case, I'm just looking at cells by subcategory and category. So let's just start by doing something as dragging cells to color. Alright, and then we'll drag cells to size. And then we drag subcategory to detail. And just like that, we just created a tree map. As you can see here, the subcategory with the biggest cells has like the biggest box. Alright, and the subcategory with the smallest cells have the smallest box. Now to make text appear on it, I'll just click cells. I just hold Control click cells to label to add the cells details right there, and then click and hold subcategory to label to add the subcategory associated with it. Alright, so in this tree chart, we're just looking at the subcategories and the cells in each subcategory, so you can quickly visualize the cells from each subcategory. Now, as you can see, the smaller ones like this doesn't have labels. That's because by default, Tableau does not allow overlapping labels. So if you added labels to this, it will overlap, and Tableau can't do that, can't overlap labels, right? So this is kind of like a tree map of visually seeing the cells by each subcategory. And of course, we could take something like, let's say, region to detail instead of subcategory. We can kind of see like the cells by region by subcategory. Now this looks a little bit confusing, but I'm going to clarify this in a little bit. Let me just take region out here in a second and show you other things. So you could, let's say, drag region to tooltip, or even drag something like category to tooltip. With region and subcategory and tooltip, when you hover over something, it will tell you the region that belongs to and then the category. So in this case, region is not showing us the region because of the other information. So let's take region out of tooltip and just have category. So when you hover over it, it will tell you the category this belongs to. So even though category is not listed here, right? Category is in our tooltip. Now you can edit your tooltip to make it look different. So if you double click on tooltip, or if you just click on it, this can come up, and we can label this something like cells by category and subcategory, and we can make this bold, and we can increase the size, and we can click OK. And now when we hover over it, our tooltip looks exactly the way you want it to look. So you can edit your tooltip if you want. Now let me go ahead and drag the color here. So we can change the color. So we use cells as the color, but we can use something like subcategory as the color. So I'm just going to drag subcategory to color. Now as you can see, each subcategory has its own color. Now, it's recommended that you don't have more than 7 different colors in your visualization. That's kind of like the visualization standard. Don't have more than 7 different colors. And in this situation, a subcategory has different colors, right? One thing we can do is we can drag something like category to color. Now, each subcategory has been put into category. So in this everything in red is a technology category, and the biggest one in cells, which is phones, is here on the left side, right? And in the furniture category, the biggest one in cells is right here, which is chairs, and the smallest one in cells is right here. And in the office supplies category, the biggest one in cells, which is storage, is in the left, and then the smallest one in cells is all the way down here. So you can further categorize things based using color. Now you can have 2 separate colors, right? So we may want to look at cells by region, for example, for each category, right? So we can drag something like region to tooltip to detail, and then from here we change it to color. So in this case, we are looking at cells by each region and by each category and subcategory. So you could have 2 separate colors in your view. Now you could also create something you can also make this into a word chart. So basically, you could come from here. So here right now it's in automatic. You could come from this drop down and then you click on text. And right now we are looking at a whole lot of information. So let me just go ahead and rebuild this real quick. So I just rebuilt the chart the way we had it before. We could create a text. We could put this in a word cloud just by changing this from automatic to text. Now we can kind of see, right, which area has the most cells. Now we can change this from, like, let's say, instead of putting cells in our label, we could take subcategory and put it in label. And remove cells from label. And now we can see that phones, has the most cells, so you can kind of create like a word cloud. And you may want to add more stuff to your tooltip, just make this more intuitive. So maybe take category and add it to the tooltip. So when somebody hover over it, they know the category, the subcategory, and the cells from that particular area. So this is how to create a word cloud using Tableau. And of course, you could come here and change it back to automatic, and it will go back to being a tree map. You could also make this into a bubble chart by coming down here and choosing circle. And now we are looking at a bubble chart. And of course, you could take something like category to color, even in a bubble chart, just make it more visually appealing. And of course, you can add more tooltips to it to make it more useful. Another thing you can do with a word chart is put this in like a graph. So we can take something like region to rows, and now we are looking at for each region we are looking at the category, the subcategory, and the number of cells. So this is one thing you can do. You can take a dimension and add it to the chart area. So you could take something like region, like I just did. Let's take something like segment. It doesn't look very good, but you could do it. It may not be very useful, but I'm just showing you like the possibilities of what you can accomplish, using this. We could take region out completely and just have segments. For each segment, you can kind of see how each segment is performing. You can kind of see that the consumer segment seems to have a whole lot more sales than the corporate, than the home office segment. Yeah, that is the basics of how to create a tree map in Tableau, a bubble chart in Tableau, a text word cloud in Tableau. And maybe take something like region to rows. You could create something like this. That's it for this video, and I'll see you on the next one.